Using the scheduler, we've gone through all the prerequisites, and now we actually have some jobs that we've released to schedule. The way these jobs got here is this job is 1021. If I go down here and I look at that job here, you'll see the asterisk next to the job, and you'll see that it says release to schedule here. So we have a budget with labor activities, and we have released that job to scheduling. We did that with the other jobs as well. So release job is yes here. We have things like schedule order, job priority, PO, next event. These things basically are to help you to manage the schedule after you've scheduled. You may want to put more priority on one job so that it gets assigned to finish on time, etc. You'll notice right now we're running, these two jobs are late by a day. And I'm going to come back to the screen in just a minute, but let me flip through the pages here. I've already scheduled, but we'll come back to that. So when I look here, I will see kind of a highlight of what's scheduled. These green dots mean, the dots mean work is occurring on those days, and when I hover, you actually get to see in this panel over here what is under that mouse. So the hours that are scheduled, etc. And then there's some color coding here that indicates the status. That's under this Job Schedules tab. And you'll see these circles with numbers and then this finish date and a checkbox, or due date and a checkbox. The finish means that's the actual date that it's finished, and that's when it's due. So you can only put one icon in that box, and so if there's sometimes there's more than one event going on, but you're going to see one. Here you actually can double click on this and you can customize these milestones and give it a name and say I want to link that date to something, in this case called project management. You could use any activity that you wanted there, and you can see the different settings. What happens when I schedule, it actually backfeeds, later I'll show you in job dates, it backfeeds the scheduled event and it updates those dates when we schedule. You can have Gantt charts, and you can view the Gantt charts in different ways. You can view them activity by job or job by activity, etc. It tells you a little bit. It's not real informative. The job schedules is pretty powerful because you can see here the job, and then you'll see the hours that are going to be listed on that. Now this is showing it hours by job, and so you take a job and you can look at it and you can see when you hover what's going on. You can look at it by activity and see, okay, let's see the CNC router, or you can look at it by employees. I've got a lot of time available still where the people aren't assigned. I've only got a few jobs, but you can see what people are assigned to each day. You can look at equipment and see how equipment is assigned. And so this gives you an overview of the schedule. You can also look at what needs to be done each day. So here are the jobs for Thursday, April 15th. These jobs need to be done. Now I'm configured, this job 10 is idle. Over here in the rules and settings, I've configured to take unassigned time and put it in that job. And that's why we'll see that there's hours that we really don't have any work for, and so it's in unassigned. And you can narrow this down to just particular jobs or all the jobs. You can also look at the resource availability. So the hours by employee that are available. There are some hours that are not available because they're working. But if I want to look at unused capacity, then it's kind of the flip, where you can see this is all hours that are not assigned to anybody yet. And I can see it by activity. And again, these are just ways of looking at your availability. Skills and qualifications, we talked about that in the earlier document, in the equipment. And over here on rules and settings, this is where you're going to determine to auto-optimize or not, what days you receive material, things like that. Not too much to do on this page usually. So let me go back here where I started. And each of these jobs has, I'll double click on this job, it has automatically, the system creates what is called a job plan. In the job plan, you've got the sequence of what's going to happen. You've got the activity that we're going to schedule. You have the minimum number of employees to assign and the maximum. You can override the schedule right here and say, well, for this assembly, I want to have actually a maximum of 3 people here. And so I've done it that way on this schedule. I have worked hours, in this case 0, and hours to go is 109. That's actually the total of the budget. So I could have a plan. Here the plan time to complete is equal to the budget because nothing's happened. But I could have a plan time to complete that's different than the original budget because I used the ETC for job progress, and I'll cover that out at another time. This is automatically created for you. You can override it. Okay, so I'm not going to save that. So to the priorities, for instance, I can clear the priorities, clear the earliest start dates. You can set earliest start date. I can clear that. It'll automatically update that. I can set the priorities. Normally, 0 is a more preferred. The higher the priority, the less preferred it is in the numeric value. To schedule, you just simply click the reschedule. Now, what's really important here is that you don't have, there's not a text up there that says that there's a problem. There would be a red text that says something like, for instance, you have budgeted for CNC, but you don't have anybody that can do CNC or something like that. Then you would have a text up there. But basically, that's the way you do the scheduling. Now, this schedule can go to the touch track. It can go to reports. It can go to PC track, where you can see what I'm scheduled to do. So that's the overview of how you do the scheduling. Now, if you don't like these dates here that are late, a couple things to do about that. We don't have any that are early, and so since nothing's early, I really don't have a lot I can do except maybe look at assigning more resource, and I would do that by overriding my resource availability. I could come down here and I could override it, and I could work some more hours on the weekend, or I could put more hours in the day, or I could make some other employees that are not busy, I could make them qualified to do the work that needs to be done for that particular job. I'm going to stop the video right there, but this is the way you do your scheduling.